What's going on, everybody? Zero Straw Hats here. All you guys are more than welcome just to call me Jordan, and I'm here today for my review to a series that I'm super excited to talk about. This is a series that I've been waiting to talk with you guys about for a long time. I just didn't know when I was going to go ahead and pull the trigger to make this video. That is a series called Bakuman. Yes, Bakuman is one of my favorite manga of all time. Now, this is a series that I know at this point most people have heard of before, but I just want to go into my details on why you should be watching it and give you guys a quick synopsis about the story. To start off, I'm going to let you guys know this right now if you don't already know. This series is made by the same people who made Death Note, which is most likely an anime that you've seen or manga you've read, and it's one of the first things people get into when you get into this community. So Death Note is definitely something you probably experienced. So if you want to get more of this team, Bakuman's the way to go. They also, I think the artist Takeshi Obata also did All You Need Is Kill, which is a very good one-shot kind of manga you can read. So these guys are very well accomplished, but in my opinion, this is their best work that they have. The nice thing about Bakuman is it's not super long. It's 20 volumes, which isn't too bad, and you can get it all in one box set. So that's definitely the way to go if you want to collect Bakuman. Definitely recommend picking up that box set. But now we're going to go ahead and get into the story. So this series really centers around two characters. One is Mashido and one is Takagi. Both of these guys come together to make a manga. Takagi will do the writing for the story, and Mashido does the art for the story. One of my favorite things about this series is the relationship between these two characters and how they grow together throughout the series. They have a very good friendship and they go through a lot of hard times together. Creating manga, it's a very difficult process, and their bond that they grow is very important. Now there's one other dynamic in this story that I feel like is super important to the story, and that is Mashido and Azuki. These are two people that are destined to be with each other, and their love is one of the most purest versions of love I've seen in any manga, any anime, any TV show ever. Mashido, like I said, is going to be the writer for the series, and Azuki wants to be a voice actor one day. So obviously the plan is going to be when Mashido becomes a famous manga creator and gets an anime, Azuki will go ahead and do the voice acting for that series. What makes that interesting is the fact that they're not going to see each other in person until their dreams come true, which is very just unheard of and very pure, and it works pretty well. Now they will meet face to face at certain points in the series when things happen where it needs to happen, but for the most part they try and just help each other from far away, and they do like send messages back and forth, but their love is very pure, and I feel like that's something that you really need to bring up when you talk about this series. I feel like one of the biggest things that people don't like about Bakuman is the fact that it is a manga about creating manga. So some people think that's not very interesting, but I think it's super interesting because one, these artists that we love, you know, whether you love Naruto or One Piece or Bleach, any of these like super big series that you see in Shonen, or even not in Shonen, just any other magazine, they put so much time and effort into what they do. And when you read this story, you really get a completely different perspective on these creators and what they go through and how much it means to them to get one of these chapters out every single week, and the deadlines they go through and the sacrifices they put themselves through for our entertainment. And I think that as fans of manga, this is a series that you should read, if not anything else, than just to learn to really appreciate them. But of course, that's not all there is to the story. Like I said, the romance in the story is one of the things I really like. It's a really beautiful romance between these two characters, and that's something that always keeps me coming back. But another thing that I really like about this series is the fact that it's about creating manga. We get to see a lot of other manga inside this manga, which is really cool, and there's a few different series that you'll see that either the main creators are making, or friends that they make along the way, or their rivals, that the series that they're creating is super interesting, and you kind of wish that you got that series as well. So that's one of the really cool things, is like not only do you get the main story, but you get a little, you know, in depth to these different stories that are inside the magazine that you kind of wish were real, because some of them are really cool. Even if none of the stuff I've said so far has interested you enough to get into the series, another big thing I want to recommend about the series is that it will truly give you motivation to do whatever it is that you're doing in your life, whether you are into, you know, drawing and creating manga, or whether you want to, you know, be a scientist or a doctor or whatever it is you want to do. Reading the series and seeing how much passion and how much work they put into what they do to truly help you, you know, get that passion for what you're interested in and for what you're doing, because they just work so hard, and you see the amount of work you have to put in to get to your goal, but you also see what that hard work does, and I think that's a really beautiful thing that can really help a lot of people, and it just gives you a lot of motivation to do whatever it is you gotta do in your life. Just seeing these characters grow throughout the series is so amazing. From the beginning of the story, these people are in middle school, and by the end they're adults, and you see this grand story of these characters and how much they mature. And there's so many really touching moments and so many really genuine characters that you meet outside of the main characters. All the side characters that you meet that have like their own series running the magazine are very interesting. The editors are really interesting people, and they really make you get into that side of it too. The editing part of being in the magazine is not easy either, and it's just really interesting to get all that stuff that you see in your manga and understand how it really comes to be that way. And the characters in the series really do that justice. There's one thing about this series that I really don't like. I feel like there's certain parts of the story that they could just do without, and I feel like sometimes this gets a little bit too long. There's some parts in the story you just kind of wish that there's a whole arc in particular that I'm like, okay, I don't really feel like we needed that. Another thing I really like about the story that I think is super underrated when people talk about Bakuman is that the humor is actually really good in this series. I really enjoy it. Like, you know, it can be very serious at times with all these deadlines and all these things they're going through, but the humor always brings it back around and kind of brings it to this point where it's not too serious and it's not too funny. It kind of this perfect mesh of the story, and the humor really does take the story a long way. One thing I will say though is that the dialogue is pretty heavy dialogue, so if you're not into a series with a lot of text, this one might not be for you, because kind of like Death Note 2, where there is a lot of talking in Death Note, and like of course in a series about manga where you have to explain, you know, how the manga industry works, and you have to explain all these different stories that they're coming up with. There will be a lot of dialogue, but it never really seemed like uninteresting to me, and it was always something that kept me really interested was the amount of dialogue we got. I think in a story like this, you kind of go into it expecting that, but just something you should know right off the bat is that there definitely is a lot more dialogue in this series than your normal shonen Jump magazine. Today guys, I hope you enjoyed this video and that something here helped you decide whether or not you want to go ahead and check out Bakuman. If you enjoyed this video, go ahead and comment, like, and subscribe for more content. Have a good day.